Welcome to part 4 of episode 53. As we begin our second season. This is the debut of season 2 of Top Rope Reality on the YouTube.
Right.
Did I get all that? I think I got it wrong.
You got it all in the
Good.
season 2 debut. That's right.
Now, last year you talked about in season 1, a while ago, season 2, part 3.
Part 3.
But you talk about season 1.
We were talking about season 1.
Right here. The tournament.
We had the Macho Madness tournament, and it was for the Independent Championship, if you will.
Yes, won by
that guy right there.
The guy right there, yes.
We got a picture with him and everything. It was all official. This year, in season 2, we're going to change it up.
And it won't be just one. During season 2, we will have very many of these.
We'll have multiple Macho Madness winners.
Yes, in different months.
So
this is March Macho Madness tournament in April. And it's going to be the top 16
Intercontinental Champions.
Chosen by us two guys.
That's right.
The two hosts
with the most.
Yes.
He had a list. I had a list. We put them together and we said, here is the card.
The funny thing about out of 16 Intercontinental Champions, we picked 9 of the same ones.
I figured we were going to have a lot of the same ones. But I knew you were going to go old school on some of yours.
Well, I had to go a few. So let's run down
some of the people on my list didn't even make it. I guess some of the people on your list didn't make it.
Right.
Yeah. It happens.
So here 9, we kind of split it up there.
Here is the first card. I guess the first
round.
Here, the first round.
We have 8 matches here.
8 matches.
And we will decide the winners.
I see it now.
We will decide the winners. And
3.
I don't know, there's a couple of matches in there.
There is a couple of matches.
Fell together pretty weirdly.
It did, like number 3.
I know. Weird. And some of these matches I would really like to have seen.
I would have too.
Well, let's start off here with
if you use your imagination, you can see these matches.
Who got the number 1 seed?
Who got number 1 seed?
The greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. Who held the title for 454 days. That sounds familiar. 400 and some days. That sounds like another champion I know.
Weird.
I know. The honky tonk man who shake, rattle his roll through the division and became
he shake, rattle, and roll into the number 1 seed spot.
And he will take on the number 16 seed, the first Intercontinental Champion, Pat Patterson.
And you say, wow, would he be 16? Well, he only held it 1 time, and yeah, he was the first one. But what did his title reign bring? It just brought a first.
He was the man. When they invented that title, they said, who will get it? And the honor went to Pat Patterson.
Right. Which is he on this thing right here?
He is right there. Pat Patterson.
I didn't even know he held it that long. It's a long time.
He is a one-time champion, but he held it for a record 233 days.
233 days.
Back then, that was kind of like Brock Lesnar's title reign.
What are all these numbers over here?
That's the position they were in. Because when I pulled it as in title reigns, see, right here you'll see number 1 is Pedro Morales. He had a 2-time, but he was 600. They went for days.
Oh, so they went the days.
Yes.
Smash.
All right, the second match.
That is the number 1 match there, number 2.
The number 8 seed will take on the number 9 seed. Number 8 will be Bret the Hitman Hart, which I was supposed to have the yellow marker. And Brock Beast.
You didn't have a yellow marker.
I know. I'll find it. Keep talking. You talk about Bret and I'll look for
Bret the Hitman Hart. What an Intercontinental Champion.
He's close in here somewhere.
He did.
Anyways, Bret held the title twice.
2 times.
For a record 290 days.
Combined together with those 2 reigns. 290 days. And he's taking on the number 9 seed. Go ahead and find him.
Oh, he's at the last part.
Mr. Chris Jericho, who had 9 record. No one else.
Like with Pat Patterson being the first, Jericho has held the title 9 times.
9 times, but only combined together for 318 days total. So, it's not a long number of days, but he held it the most times. And then, number 3.
Number 3, the number 6 seed, this man, the Ultimate Warrior.
Yes.
Taking on, I'll find
Taking on the number 311. Number 311!
The Ultimate Warrior held the title twice for a record number 432 days.
I think that almost is exactly the other guy. 434 days, wasn't it, CM Punk? Not for this.
Well, no, yeah, CM Punk's not number 11.
But I'm saying 434 days, though, right? Wasn't that
for the world title,
yeah.
yes.
So he's like 2 days off of that. Isn't that funny?
funny?
Rick Rude, the number 11 seed, a ravishing one. Not the ravishing Russian.
Not the Ravishing Russian.
And you can't find him!
I'm looking for the short Rick Rude. It's probably on this list. There he is, right here. Rick Rude held the title once.
If he was alive right now, he would tell you there wasn't nothing short about him. Oh!
One time for
good.
148 days.
What?
Of course, he beat the Warrior at
He did.
WrestleMania with help from Bobby the Brain Heenan.
And the 4th match, the number 3 seed, ladies and gentlemen, the Heartbreaking Shawn Michaels.
I even got a Sharpie to do this.
You should have.
I know I should have. I'll be more on as the thing goes down.
Yeah, 2 times.
Shawn Michaels, no, 3 times.
Oh, I see it now. 3.
For 406 days.
Taking on number 14 seed of Bad.
I know he has
Barrett.
He's had it for 5 times. I know where he is.
You know why? Because he keeps getting injured.
5 times for 396 days.
There you go. But every time he daggone comes back, they give it back to him.
And you look at the number, I mean, he's on the list, but you look underneath. Hunter held the belt for 5 times for only 196 days.
Huh. Weird. Now, number 5, one of my picks. I don't know if you picked him. I picked him.
Yes, I did.
You did.
The top 9 seeds are our picks.
Oh, nice.
So.
Very nice. We picked both. The 9 top ones, we picked at the same thing.
Yes, the top 9 seed
The
and picks
number
are our
4
picks.
seed is Shelton Benjamin.
Shelton Benjamin.
He loved his mama.
He is 3 times Intercontinental Champion for 354 days.
Taking on number 13 seed of the Rated R Superstar. Hey.
He is a 5-time champion.
But only
171 days.
Number 6, ladies and gentlemen, the number 7 seed, Mr. Perfect.
2-time former Intercontinental Champion.
Yes, sir.
406 days.
Wow. Taking on the number 10 seed of Don the Rock Morocco.
Don the Rock Morocco is up close here. I've seen Donny Boy. Oh, Donny Boy.
Oh, Donny Boy.
The first Rock, while we're stalling. Keep stalling with the first Rock.
I'm trying to see if you quit moving it. 'Cause I thought it was over here.
Is he up here?
Don Morocco's right there.
There he is, right there, Donny.
I was like, quit moving the paper, I can't see.
He's held the title. He was number 2 on the list for 2 title reigns at 541 days.
541, ladies and gentlemen. And then going on to the second Rock, we're going to have the number 7 match with the number 5 seed of Razor Ramon.
We know Razor had it a few times.
He did. Razor Ramon underneath Gold Dust there.
There he is, Razor Ramon. 4 title reigns for 437 days.
Very good. Taking on number 12 seed, The Rock.
The Rock was his
Second Rock.
The second Rock, the People's Champion.
People's Champion.
He is a two-time for 339 days.
That's pretty good, pretty good, pretty good. And finally, the number 8 match is the number 2 seed. Randy, the Macho Man, Macho King, Macho Badness.
1 title reign.
1 title reign.
414 days as Intercontinental Champion.
Very nice. Taking on the number 15 seed, the man who beat him at WrestleMania 3, the great one. Not The Rock. The Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Yes, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat had 1 reign of 65 days. You're thinking, why would all these other great Intercontinental Champions, would Ricky the Dragon Steamboat be on there? Why else would he be on there? He is part of history. He is the one, when they mention Intercontinental title, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat's name comes up. Yes, he had a short reign. Yes, there are more people ahead of him that could have made this tournament, but we believed that Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, a former WCW NWA World Heavyweight Champion, deserved to be on this list.
Because you think about it, he beat a man who had 1 reign for 414 days. He, out of 414 days, no one else could beat Randy Savage. Ricky Steamboat did it.
Yes, and Ricky Steamboat reign was cut short by the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, the Honky Tonk Man, who went for 454 days.
So he beat one that had a huge long reign, and he got beat by one that had a very long reign. So you got to look at those things. You have to look at those things.
You have to look at those things, yes.
Just because he had a short reign does not mean anything.
And I know people out there going, what about Stone Cold Steve Austin? He was Intercontinental Champion.
But when you think of Stone Cold, do you think Intercontinental Champion?
He was a two-time, yes, folks, he was a two-time Intercontinental Champion, but he only held it for 65 days. Total.
And
For
see,
2 reigns.
Ricky did that 65 days in 1 reign.
And he was beat by the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time.
Of all
The
time.
greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. I'll get that right in a minute.
Yes, and Triple H, I picked him, but he didn't make the list. But at the same time, you think about this. When I think of The Rock, when I think of Triple H, when I think of Stone Cold, they were all 3 Intercontinental Champions. I really don't think of them as, oh, they were Intercontinental Champions. You think of the WWE Championship.
Right.
You know, you got to think about those things. Like Shawn Michaels, yes, a great Intercontinental Champion. What is he really known for? Yes, he's known for the ladder match for the Intercontinental, but he is a WWE Champion.
So, that is our list. Now we will go over who we think will win and who will advance to the next
So
round.
we're advancing right now.
We are picking right now.
Picking!
Yes.
So we have to decide. We have to be thorough with this, and we have to make sure that we agree, I guess.
Oh, we do.
Because you got 2 guys, you can't have 2 separate answers.
No.
So
Right.
you definitely should have
Got a
had.
pen?
You definitely should have had a pen.
I know.
But you know what? Justin Cotter's here to save the day.
Him and his pen. Okay.
My pen. Well, so we got Honky Tonk Man taking on Pat Patterson. I know what I'm
There's a
picking.
tournament bracket there. So.
There's a tournament bracket right there, ladies and gentlemen. I know what I'm picking, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, you want to know? Everybody should know who I'm picking.
That's
the way
right.
I just speak about the greatest Intercontinental Champion who shit, run, and roll. Honky Tonk Man.
Honky Tonk Man will now beat Pat Patterson, and then the next match in the seeds, if you will.
Woo! That is a good one.
That is a good one and a very hard one to decide.
And who would not love to see that? I mean,
That would be a great
that
match.
right there could be a WrestleMania main event.
It could be Bret the Hitman Hart taking on Y2J. Who wins?
I mean, Bret lost to Bulldog at SummerSlam. Jericho's lost 9 times, and he is the longest Intercontinental Champion. I mean,
Not longest,
I mean,
most
the most
reigns.
reigns. Jeez Louise.
So do you have the most reigns versus the longest reigning? I guess of that time period, or do you have Bret the Hitman Hart? He did have a great SummerSlam match, and that's where Bulldog beat him for the title, right?
Yes, in the main event.
The main
in
event.
Wembley Stadium. I mean,
Never had the Intercontinental title in the main event before.
never.
No.
Bret and Bulldog were the main event.
Who
Woo!
do you pick?
I would. Oh man, that's a. Can we come back to this one?
We might want to come back to
Let's
this one.
go
So we're
back
going
to
to go
this
to the
one.
next one. We're going to go to Warrior and Rude. Now, they actually did fight for the Intercontinental title between the two of them. I think Rude beat Warrior.
They
for it.
also fought for the WWE World Title.
They did, and that's where Rude lost to Warrior. But Rude beat Warrior for the Intercontinental title.
With help from Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Right. But Rude beat
He
Warrior for
did,
the Intercontinental
and
title.
Warrior beat Rude.
But at the same
I
time, Warrior also was the only man to do it at this time. He was the Intercontinental Champion and beat the WWE Champion at WrestleMania.
Yes. I
Gotta
would
do that.
say if Heenan wouldn't have helped Rude, this man would have kept his Intercontinental title at WrestleMania, and that's why I believe the Ultimate Warrior would beat Ravishing Rick
Because we're
Rude.
not looking at better wrestler, because the better wrestler would have been Rude, but we're looking at, looking at all the reigns, we're looking at all the information gathered
Yes.
here. And I'm going with Warrior just for the fact that he beat Hogan while being Intercontinental Champion
Right.
and won the WWE title. Next in the bracket is HBK versus B&B Bad News Barrett, so guess who's winning?
And I'm saying B&B has some bad news, as HBK would super kick his way past Bad
Yes,
News
he would.
Barrett.
Now, here's a hard one for me because I know who I would like to pick, but I think you're going to go the other route. Shelton Benjamin, who love his mama, but don't let that define his career. And Gold
Mr.
Standard.
T loved his mama too.
That's true.
So.
Gold Standard, don't let that define his career. They're taking on Edge. Now, when I think of Edge, I think of the Rated R Superstar. So that would mean I think of the WWE Championship. I think as an Intercontinental Champion, I think Shelton was a better Intercontinental Champion.
And also, going to the podcast that they had of Jericho and Cena,
Yes.
Cena mentioned Shelton Benjamin.
Really?
Cena said Shelton should have been up there with him, Brock, Batista, and one other
He
one.
did talk about the OVW
The
stuff.
OVW, Randy. Yeah.
Yes.
Randy, yes. So, I believe on this night, Shelton Benjamin would take the opportunity.
Now, if it was for the WWE
beat.
Championship, no, Shelton would not win this.
I don't know, could be.
He could, but I think Edge in that kind of a tournament would be better. I mean, Shelton never won the title. That's
right.
The WWE title.
I'm saying Shelton.
Me too. And then you have Mr. Perfect taking on Don Morocco. Me personally.
Now the power would go with Morocco.
The power, but who's faster?
And who's perfect?
Exactly. So I'm saying Mr. Perfect
yes.
beats Morocco, ladies and gentlemen. And then we have Razor Rock. Does Razor take his little sharp razor and chip away at the Rock?
If you're looking at the two guys, I'm saying The Rock. The Rock would beat Razor Ramon. If they had a match in his prime, Rock in his prime, Razor in his prime, when he was faced for the Intercontinental title ladder match that everybody keeps talking about, if that wasn't the first ladder match,
Right.
Rock would beat Razor Ramon.
We have to decide.
We almost would have had it at WrestleMania, but Hogan didn't want to face Stone Cold. So Hogan, Austin got Scott Hall.
Still, then Scott Hall's not in his prime either. Then.
No, I'm saying Rock. I would say Rock would.
Rock is a bigger star.
He's got the most
but if you think about Intercontinental Championship, I think Razor is better when it comes to Intercontinental Championship. I think if it was WWE Championship match, obviously The Rock would win that. But when you think about that division, I think Razor was better in the Intercontinental division than The Rock was. But we have to make one decision, so I will go with The Rock. And then we have Savage. We have Steamboat. I know Steamboat beat Savage for the Intercontinental Championship, but if you're talking about the
former
greatest,
world champions.
Yes, they are. But if you think about the greatest,
Yes.
I have to say Savage.
I mean, when they're talking about greatest, you got Hogan, Flair. You have Savage up there. Rarely do they have
Steamboat.
I mean, Steamboat is a great wrestler.
Now, when
Steamboat
Flair
is a
talks
fan
about-
of a fan of a fan of a fan. I mean, he is a good
Flair
guy.
talks about his greatest opponent. Yes, he talks about Steamboat.
He's had great matches.
But yes, exactly. But when you talk about some of the greatest, when you think about Hogan's and you think about Bruno and you think about Flair and you think about Savage, you think about Harley Race.
Yes.
Ricky Steamboat's not usually in that list.
No,
he's way down there in the list. He is a great wrestler, but he's not in the top tier, if you
And
will.
for that few moments of that 1 year, I'm saying it's '89. He was the man. He was the man of NWA.
Right.
The closest he ever came to being the man, he was Intercontinental Champion.
Yes.
And on that one shining moment at WrestleMania, he was able to beat Randy Savage.
Right.
With a little help from George Allen still.
Of course.
But he was able to be the man.
Right.
For the Intercontinental title. Randy Savage took one step more. He became the man of the WWE.
It was saying, oh, I'll lose the Intercontinental title. I'll become the champion.
Yes, within a year, I'll be a champion, yes.
Right. That's always supposed to be the stepping stone. You're supposed to be able to
And
lose
if
the
you
Intercontinental
look
title and
at
win the
this-
championship.
Is there a 50-50 split? No.
Right.
Does Savage win 3 out of 10? I mean, Steamboat? Yes. But I believe Savage would beat Steamboat if they wrestled 10 times. He would win 7 out of 10 times.
Of course.
My pick is Randy Savage.
And that's already what I wrote that down.
Okay, now we're back to Bret Hart.
Bret and Y2J. Out of all
Jericho.
these matches, this one match is the hard one to figure out.
It is. And my gut tells me Bret Hart would beat Chris Jericho.
I think because of the nostalgia of who Bret is, I mean, yeah, you could look at it now and say Bret would beat Y2J. But
if it was Owen, I like Owen, but Jericho would beat Owen. But with Bret Hart,
I don't know.
Jericho,
To me, Owen is a better wrestler than Bret. I will go with
he
this.
had that one shining moment at WrestleMania 10.
I will look at it this way. If you have the first ever undisputed champion,
Yes.
I know this is not about this.
Who beat
The
Rock and Austin? All
the
of the
same
two
night.
biggest guys in the same night.
Okay, so you're looking at that. You have Y2J. You have Bret Hart, who, yes, had a great WWE career, but stunk up the joint because of how WCW treated him. So you can really only
And
look at his
Jericho had a
career.
mediocre
WCW career.
Yeah, because he was kept down.
But think about this. Who truly has had more longevity, because one of them got injured.
Yeah.
Got more longevity out of Y2J. You got 30-something championships out of Y2J. Okay. To me, he has had more of a golden career than Bret. Even though Bret was in WWE for so long, you've got Jericho, who across the board, he transcended things across the board. He was only supposed to be a cruiserweight. Bret was always looked at as a heavyweight wrestler.
Always. He was a tag team. Yeah,
but
it's always been heavyweight.
He was always a heavyweight.
Fat tag team wrestler.
Fat, so he's a heavyweight. What I'm saying is, you got one that transitioned from being nothing more than a cruiserweight / enhancement talent to becoming a multi-time Intercontinental plus a multi-time World Heavyweight Champion plus the first ever undisputed champion. Whereas you have Bret, yes, great tag team wrestler, that's wonderful, but he was always considered a heavyweight. He didn't transcend anything. He didn't break a mold as Jericho did.
Well,
you would not have had Jericho.
We're going to agree to disagree.
If you look at Jericho in WCW as a cruiserweight, he would have never beaten Rock or Stone Cold. He transcended he broke the mold.
Well, there's only one way to do this then. We're going to shock the Top Rope Reality audience.
We're going to make it a draw.
That match is going to be a bye. Because I believe Bret would beat Jericho, and you believe Jericho will beat Bret.
I do.
And I'm not going to change my mind. I believe Bret. And I don't think you're going to change your mind.
Nope.
You're picking Jericho.
You got the sharpshooter versus the lion tamer. What are we going to do?
I believe Bret would beat Jericho, and you believe Jericho will beat Bret. So that match is a bye.
It is a bye. So Honky Tonk Man goes to the next round. And I'm assuming we're going to talk about the next round next week.
We are talking about the next round next week. Now we're going to talk about Hogan for real quick. Another one he didn't want to lose to.
J-E-double-L.
Ha-ha!
J-A-R-R-E-double-T.
I love when Jeff Jarrett showed up WWE. This is not about WWE. This is about WCW and at
I didn't even know
Bash.
that was all on there either. That's funny. I didn't even know that was the first thing on there, and I was going in.
And they're talking about Bash at the Beach 2000, which you can look at on the network for only
$9.99.
Yes, and you can see Jarrett.
Yes, because the initial story here, it appeared that was Vince Russo wanted the chosen one to retain his championship against Hogan, but Hogan had agreed to lose. It was claimed on the day of the pay-per-view. He decided to pull his creative control. Changed the result of him going over Jarrett and taking the gold.
Have you heard that about WCW?
Right. Because too many people had creative control. As such, when it actually came to the match taking place, Jarrett walked to the ring, laid down in the ring at Russo's orders, and let Hogan pin him, leading to the Hulkster cutting a shoot promo, trashing the company, saying, "This is why this company's in the shape it is in." This was then followed by a Vince Russo shoot, slating that Hogan and exposing exactly what had gone down about Hogan throughout that day and how Hogan had essentially refused to lose to Jarrett. Russo would also strip Hogan of the belt and schedule a new World Championship match for later that night, which would see Booker defeat Jarrett. Part of the reasoning for Hogan's change of mind is believed to be down to his WCW contract expiring, so he feared that without the big gold belt, that he wouldn't be used on as many big shows as he'd like. And we all know that big shows equate to big dollars. All of the above was believed for years, and the promos from Hogan and Russo on the night certainly felt very real. Since then, Russo had actually changed the story a little, instead saying that he and Hogan had actually both got together earlier on in the day and decided for things to play out exactly as they did with Jeff Jarrett and the rest of the locker room, totally in the dark on the real plan. As ever, when Vince Russo or Hogan is involved, it's hard to know what to believe is the truth. Yeah. What did prove to be true, though, is Hogan didn't end up losing to Jarrett, and we all know that's the main thing for Hogan, right? Later on down the line, Hogan was in talks to join TNA in 2004 after becoming annoyed that the main event picture was focusing on younger talent. How dare they?
I know!
All this was looking good for a deal being signed with TNA until one point came up. Hulk Hogan would have to put over Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett owned the company. Why not?
Yes, you're losing to me, Hogan.
Coincidentally,
brother.
Hogan suddenly cited a knee injury and pulled out of the deal before returning back to the WWE. Okay, here's my thing. That pay-per-view title match was so early on in the card that it almost sounds like it truly was planned out. Mm-hmm. Why would you have Hogan and Jarrett halfway through the card, third or fourth match, and then, we're going to make Booker and Jeff Jarrett the main event of the card? Uh-huh. That makes no sense to me. You would automatically have the main event be Hogan and Jarrett, and then you could do the whole, put your foot on him and walk out, whatever, and then the next night on Nitro, have Vince Russo do the shoot, and then have Booker and Jarrett. So that's why it seems planned. You wouldn't have a title match halfway through the event. Not when you only have one world title. It would make more sense WWE doing that when they had two belts.
Yeah.
But it does not make sense. It seems all
with the two belts, it don't seem so fishy. But right then, Hogan's not going to be in the middle of the card. Hogan, if he's for the world title, Hogan's being the main event.
That's why it seems like they did get together and say, look, let's do something. Let's say, okay, well, Hogan, maybe he's tired, he wants to go home. Maybe he just wants to sit home and make some money. Mm-hmm. Guess what he did? He did that. You never saw him again in WCW after that night. After that night, he walked out, he went home, supposedly sued WCW, blah, blah, blah. But guess what? He sat at that house until 2002 when he came back with Nash and Hall. He was just collecting a paycheck till his Time Warner, AOL, whatever it's called, contract ran out. That's why I think it was all a big work. Because, look, Vince Russo wanted to push the younger guys. It's not a secret. He wanted to do that. So he could have said, hey, Hogan, look, let's save your body a little bit. You go home. Let's make it a big ordeal. Make it look big deal. Like, oh, I'm so mad at you. But you get to sit home and make millions while these young guys get to be on TV. Sounds like a deal to me.
I'll take the check and sit home.
Because he's not like he didn't do house shows back then anyway. So why not sit at the house?
John Cena. And
let the younger guys, they should have done that a long time ago in WCW, and maybe they would have stuck around.
That's true.
If they would have pushed the younger guys.
Because they were 2000, it was 2001 when they were.
Yeah.
And it was coming on down the nitty-gritty.
It was. But that is another wrestler who Hogan refused to lose against. That's number 6
when you're like, hey, you come to TNA, you're losing. Oh, my knee hurts.
Right? They already did the whole thing. They set it up in Japan. They did the whole, you hit Hogan with the guitar and everything, and then boom, never mind.
I know.
But Jarrett's number 6. Next week we're going to go over number 5, Randy Orton.
Wow.
Randy Orton. Plus, we continue our Macho Madness tournament in April.
Yeah, shocker already. It's already a shocker with the bye of Chris Jericho and Bret Hart.
That's right. And another Hall of Fame might be, nope, not at all.
Oh, that would be funny.
Wrestling news, Ring of Honor, WrestleCade, Indie news, plus countdowns, and always a whole lot more because you never know what kind of tangents, like we did this week, will go on.
That's true.
Join us for episode 54.
54.
As we continue on season 2. Nobody ever thought we'd make it this
don't
far.
forget WrestleMania, our predictions. Our magic. We're going to pull out the Magic 8 Ball and see.
The Top Rope Reality 8
Those
Ball.
2 for the title? That's amazing.
We might do more of that for more than just WrestleMania eventually. The Top Rope Reality 8 Ball predictions.
Yeah, that'll work.
I like it.
Well, I want to thank everybody who watching the first episode of Season 2 debut here at episode 53 of Top Rope Ready. I'm Mike Hogan as always, and to my left,
Justin Cotta.
Justin Cotta, the Tower of Power, too sweet to be sour.
Woo! Exactly.
I'll think of some more next week.
You got to.
I got to.
We are the host with the most.
We are the host with the most. We're the limousine. Okay.
No.
And we'll be right back next week, right here on the YouTube. Thanks for watching.
I've never been in a limousine, so no, can't say that.
I think I was for a prom.
Really?
But, and a jet. So I've been jet flying and limousine.
Oh, so I've never ridden in a airplane or nothing.
You stole a kiss?
I have not. Well, I mean, maybe from the wife. Maybe she wasn't expecting it. That's stealing it!
Willing and dealing.